Okay, so we have another combat mission shock force level. This one is called Objective Normandy, and it's a continuation of the attack on Tadmur, which is also known as Palmyra. Basically, I'm being told in the briefing that the enemy has set up some defenses along hedgerows outlying the city, and that I'll probably experience something similar to the D-Day invasions. Starting off, I just have a small scout platoon, 3 fire teams, no support teams, and this is basically just a probing force. The briefing informs that the road was mined, so it's not really an option to charge down the road, but I have to pass through these 3 phase lines: Utah, Omaha, and Normandy. And hopefully secure and not damage the pump station and the power station. I think I lose major points if I destroy those infrastructure buildings, because it was implied in the briefing that we need to start thinking about reconstruction now because the war has turned to our favor. So what I'm going to do is, since I can't go down the main road, I'm basically going to just attack straight down the center through these hedgerows. They also do not give me any air support for the same reason. They didn't want me to destroy any of the local infrastructure. So I didn't get any artillery or air support. So when you take away the vehicles and the artillery and air support, what you basically have is infantry. Since it is a daytime engagement, the playing field is basically level, because the Syrians obviously can see just as well as the Americans in these sort of engagements. Unlike the night battles, where the Americans have an advantage due to the advanced optics. So I thought that the enemy was directly on this ridge in front of my force, so I was actually sighting that ridge to provide covering fire, but I didn't realize that there were actually 2 ridges. There were 2 ridges to the front. So I break out my scout platoon here to establish a base of fire, bounding overwatch. This battle is actually a pretty large-scale battle. By the end of it, I actually have a battalion-sized force here with multiple companies. So I pop smoke until I can get my guys in position. Also wanted to make sure that my strikers were not in direct danger from, you know, being fired upon by RPGs from across the way, so I backed them back, you know, behind the ravine. I have a pretty small force right now, and I can't really do much. Assuming that there is an enemy force in front of me, it would be quite dangerous to attack. With just 3 platoons. I mean, 3 fire teams. So I'm taking some pot shots from somewhere. At this point, I did not know where the fire was coming from. I thought it was coming from directly in front of us, on that ridge in front of us. This squad sort of overstepped their boundaries. Then I realized that the fire is actually coming from 2 ridges to the front. Try to suppress that with some 50 cal fire from one of my strikers. That thud noise that you hear is the Mark 19 on one of the command strikers. Mark 19 is an automatic grenade launcher. It's extremely deadly against everything but tanks. That's objective Utah. That's the first enemy phase line. Probably could have remounted on the strikers and then drove up a little bit closer. But I didn't want to risk getting into a quagmire where I'm taking RPG hits. So the Syrians are opening up on my advancing infantry. I can't really do anything because I don't have enough firepower to really suppress them fully. They have at least 2 platoons of infantry there in that trench. Got 3 or 4 fire teams of infantry and the command element. Then right on top of me, A Company arrives. Notice the 2 heavy machine guns on the right flank. I immediately send A Company into the fray. They have some full-size fire teams. Notice here there's a couple machine gun bunkers. Those are going to prove to be a real hindrance in movement. I have nothing to take those out besides javelins. I believe those strikers came in with A Company. I didn't notice them until now. So I give one of those fire teams a javelin to take out the machine gun bunker, and then the rest of the strikers I move into cover. One of them got knocked out by a ATGM from the pump station. That was an RPG, tried to take out the striker on the right. Missed though. So I'm dismounting all the infantry from A Company. putting them up on the ridge to ensure fire superiority. The view of the Syrian trench. So at this point, the scout platoon, A company, and all the other reinforcements that come in, they sort of merge into one amorphous force. It's impossible to organize them coherently due to me being under fire. I don't really have time to put them together. This whole sort of battle is done ad hoc, which I guess is the way that the scenario designer intended it, because he wanted to make it, you know, judging from the briefing, he wanted to make it as much like the real D-Day invasion as possible. And that's what happened on D-Day, is you had disorganized units forming into ad hoc battle groups. At least on some beaches. So, these fire teams here that came in, I dismounted them when I was getting shot at by ATGMs. I envisioned that they would take up the left flank and then take out those machine gun bunkers. If I really want to advance any further, I'm going to need to deal with those bunkers, otherwise they're going to rip apart my attack on the first trench system, Objective Utah. So I moving my squads up to that trench. That's the last trench before we get to the first, I mean not trench. That's the last ridge before we get to the Objective Utah trench system. Almost completed having fire superiority. Almost all of those enemy elements in those trenches are suppressed. Machine gun on the right just opened up. Couldn't really target that with anything. So I did manage to get the Mark 19 Striker to lob some grenades over there. Pretty inaccurate due to the angle that they're firing from. Guys on the left are the scouts from the initial attack.
Advance! Keep moving! Let's go!
I managed to move most of my force across, and then I noticed that there's a heavy machine gun nest in the power station. The Mark 19 is suppressing it. That pump station has a field of fire over the entire field. the entire set of ravines here. These guys on the left I'm moving up to slowly move towards those bunkers, those pillboxes, so I can knock them out. Begin the assault on the Omaha trench. Vehicles up to provide cover support. So one of the fire teams makes it across, the other one is pinned down mere feet away from it. I tell the fire team that actually made it to the trench to assault the other side of the trench. This machine gun in the power station is really raining down death. I can't do anything against that because I'm really not allowed to do anything to the power station. Otherwise I would fire javelins into it. Took the right side of the trench. The machine gun team that was there tries to run across the field. Second fire team finally makes it across with some help from covering fire. And I send across the other ones. So about 100 meters across that field are some bunkers that I spotted when I initially came in. They have to be taken out now, otherwise I'm not going to be able to advance the rest of my force. Moving up the command and support elements from the far rear. That right there on the right is some blue-on-blue friendly fire. I forgot to tell the Mark 19 to stop firing at the trench, so it was still firing on those guys. I finally realized it, and I'm like, oh shit, which Mark 19 is it? And what striker is it? Moving up the vehicles. Basically, the RPG has a kill range of about 300 meters. So, as long as the vehicles are further than 300 meters away, then I'm basically fine. So I tell one of these fire teams on the left to run into that trench and draw the fire of the bunker. This way, it reveals itself and I can take it out with the javelin. I tried taking it out from the bushes and the hedgerow, but I didn't have a line of fire, so I rushed them out into the open. There we go. The guy on the right has a javelin. Number 1 bunker down. Still 2 other bunkers over there though that are hidden right now. You see one in the top left corner. That bunker has a full field of fire on the last 2 trenches, Omaha and Normandy. So, I wanted to get this javelin squad. I wanted to get them more javelins, but there's a pretty stupid rule in this game where you can't enter into another platoon's striker. So I forgot about that for a couple of seconds, and I was pretty confused as to why they were not going into the striker. So I finally realized my mistake and then bring up a striker from the rear. This is another sort of weakness of dividing your platoons into a mishmash like this. You're never really with your own vehicles, so it turns into chaos, but it's the only real option. That's just the way it was by necessity. Second bunker. So that bunker is pinning down my fire teams on the left pretty hard. This right here was a pretty bad idea. I tried to quickly run across on the right side, but then I realized that there's way too big of an enemy force there to actually do that. So I called those guys back. Luckily the strikers are providing pretty good cover. Here I'm equipping some other squads with javelins because I thought that there might be additional machine gun pillboxes. So I'm finally ready to take out that bunker in the top left corner. Try to send that fire team to the roof to get a better view of the area. Ship them to the top side of the building. I try to have them suppress the bunker this way. This way the other team can move up and take it out with a javelin. So I'm ready for my final push here to Omaha. Just equipping one last squad with a javelin missile system. The pump station also has a heavy machine gun posted in it. Once this final bunker is knocked out, then I can advance towards my final objectives. Right now, none of my squads have vision of it, so I'm probably going to walk out into the open and get fired upon. There's no other way to flank it. There's also a ATGM squad near the first bunker in the foregrounds. So my fire teams are firing a grenade launchers at the power station, but that won't actually deal any damage to the station. Any significant damage.
Quiet down. Let's get some focus.
This is my second attempt at moving up these guys on the right. I used the teams that crossed on the left to assault the machine gun trench. These guys make it across safely. Move forward the vehicles to provide additional cover. So, as the scenario designer implied and wanted me to play this as, each ravine is basically its own little self-contained battlefield. It's basically a battle of attrition to see if I can make it to the end. So far I haven't had that many casualties, I think probably 5 or 6 men. And I've inflicted at least quadruple that number on the enemy, so far it's pretty good. I still want to take out that bunker over here. And I finally spot it. Hopefully I can get the javelin off.
Ceasefire.
When the javelin spotted me, the crew of the bunker bailed out. And now that Syrian squad that's in the trenches on the adjacent to the bunkers are opening fire on the javelin team. So I move up these squads to support them. Exchanging fire with the Syrians in the trenches. My guys are out in the open, so they're in a pretty vulnerable position, but due to my numerical superiority, at least in that area, they're able to suppress these squads in the trenches and then move in on them. Here's another bunker. This is why I gave the squads in the center the javelins. I was expecting to run into additional bunkers. So this machine gun bunker is opening fire on the squad with the javelin and suppressing them. So I move forward the side fire teams to maybe suppress the bunker long enough for the javelin to be fired off. Killed an entire squad of Syrians that were in the bunker. A little machine gun symbol over there just means that the bunker was not knocked out. That's the one that they bailed out from when I was preparing to fire upon it. Now time to take the trenches by the bunkers. So at this point, I estimated that I wiped out most of the enemy force. So I start to move up basically everyone. And once this ATGM team on the left gets wiped out, that's basically their entire anti-tank force. So I can move my vehicles forward without really having to worry about them being wiped out. So the assault on the trenches finally begins. Pretty bloody trench fighting right here. The initial attack on the trenches is repelled by the Syrians, and then we attack it again. Move this squad back to the trench in the middle of the road, because the Syrian squad retreated to the left.
Listen up.
This is pretty sloppy on my part here. These guys ran into the field. Wasn't really watching them, and there was two platoons of Syrians in the field, and they inflicted some casualties. They were in pretty good cover. Couldn't really fire upon them from where my guys were, so I order an assault into the high grass.
Enemy infantry spotted. Enemy vehicle.
They retreat back towards the power station. I didn't want to attack the center with all of these platoons, so I move up on the left just to recon the area. I took so many casualties when I tried to pass through that high grass that I didn't want to risk sending my entire force through at once. So I send in this flanking force from the left, and I also move my vehicles forward in a mechanized attack. Since I really thought that the bulk of the Syrian force was defeated at this point, I wanted to send a final crushing blow. Make them surrender. there's an ATGM team in the power station, but I'm hoping that my infantry squads on that bluff will be able to suppress them. Those infantry teams are retreating back toward the power station. There's still some infantry in the high grass though. Basically overrunning their positions with the strikers, and they surrender.